So when we're doing the paper chromatography lab, we're going to be looking at different pigments. You're going to be discovering different pigments when you do your paper chromatography. The green pigments are going to be either chlorophyll A or chlorophyll B. Chlorophyll C is not found in plants. You're going to find those in dinoflagellates and other single-celled organisms, not associated really with plants. In fact, the fact that C is only found in this small group of organisms suggests that these organisms actually are not related to plants, at least as closely related to plants as scientists first thought. They do photosynthesize, but they're using a pigment called chlorophyll C, which is fairly different from A or B. A and B are both found in plants. Algae has A. All photosynthetic organisms have A. B, however, is found only in blue-green algae and plants. Now, when we look at orange pigments, or when you see red leaves, orange leaves, or yellow leaves, what you're looking at is carotenoids, and those are pigments that don't dissolve in water. They don't really contribute the electrons that they excite using photosynthesis to the electron transport chain directly. What they do is they transfer those electrons to the chlorophyll, and then that enters the pathway to produce the energy required to make sugar. So carotenoids indeed are what are called accessory pigments, and they're found in the membranes because they don't dissolve in water, so they're found in the membranes of the chloroplasts or the algae. One of the carotenoids, fucoscinin, gives a brown color, interestingly, and that brown color, it gives brown algae, which is looks like kelp in the oceans. It is kelp in the ocean. It gives brown algae its color. Phytophycobilins are water soluble. That makes sense because they're found in cyanobacteria, which really they probably don't want photosynthesis happening in their membranes because they don't have any compartments within them. They're bacteria. So cyanobacteria, they do photosynthesis, but they're single-celled organisms. And the phycobilins are found in the cytoplasm of the bacteria. And they give blue cyanobacteria their name, right? They're actually cyan colored. They're blue-green color. Now, red leaf plants generally have more carotenoids than do other plants. They still have chlorophyll, but they have more carotenoids. It's kind of a big contention on what kind of an evolutionary advantage they would have to being red versus green as a leaf. When you look at all the different pigments that plants have, you can see that each pigment is going to absorb at a different wavelength, and if the objective is to try to collect as much light as possible in order to produce as much sugar as possible, one would think that the more of the various pigments that the plant has in order to capture the light, the more energy it could capture to produce the sugar. And as you can see, I pulled this off an internet search. It's the only graph I could find quickly that had all the different pigments on the chart. Unfortunately, it's copyrighted, so it has a what is it called? A stamp, watermark. But if you can see, here's vegetating or growing plants, right? You have a lot of vegetative plants. Here, some plants flower. When flowering plants tend to have these pigments and collect at this wavelength of light. But you'll see here that where A collects light, and it collects light both here at the 400 nanometer range and here, which would be in the blue range. Remember Roy G. Biv, right? Roy G. Biv, so red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, blue, and violet, right? And so when chlorophyll A collects energy that's around the purple blue color, the carotenoids collect around the light blue or as we said, blue-green region. Anthocyanin collects the green, and so it doesn't really it doesn't really absorb a lot of red. You see it stops here at the red, so it absorbs none of the red. So the leaves that have a lot of anthocyanin, they absorb these other colors, but they don't absorb red. So what you see is a lot of red. And if they have chlorophyll A, then they'll still absorb some of the red, but they're left with, since they have mostly anthocyanin, you're gonna see a lot of the red color. All right, well that does it. That's a quick review of the various pigments you might find as you do your lab. I hope this helps.